Previously on Murlocked.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Before heading back into the Murloc slaughter, I want to give a quick rundown of the rules for anyone who's new here. This is Murlocked, a challenge where I can only progress through the game by killing Murlocs or completing quests that involve killing them. Professions and the auction house are allowed, but I use them sparingly, and of course I can only use gold that I earn myself. Follow our gnome mage Murlocked on the road to level 60 and on his journey for revenge. Thanks again for all the feedback on the last episode. It's been overwhelming in the best possible way. You gave some great advice, and reading how much you enjoy watching this series helps me to keep going. Also, thanks for your input on a few matters. The majority of you agreed that Murloc related quests are perfectly fine and even gave me permission to do class quests, as long as it would not involve killing anything besides Murlocs. I appreciate that, but probably will only complete a few select mage quests anyway. I've installed a new add-on, a kill tracker, which lets me keep track of Murloc kills far more accurately. Great recommendation, thanks for that. We'll start using it in this episode from level 18 onward. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in. At level 15, we picked up the Ignite talent, a small but satisfying upgrade that helped with single target kills and would continue to shine once we unlocked Flame Strike. After a bit of grinding, I headed back to the inn to sell off some junk. Opening the mail turned out to be a pleasant surprise. The clams had sold quite well, becoming one of my first stable sources of income.
Oysters, clams and cockles!
For now it seemed like shellfish would keep my purse filled, though I had a feeling that might change in the future.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
My staff with the frost spell damage still hadn't sold, but a few of you had left some advice in the comments regarding AoE farming and how spell damage scaling is basically useless for that, so I decided to keep trying to sell it for now. With the few coins I had, I invested in melon juice. It should speed up my downtime between fights, and conjured water just wasn't cutting it anymore. Then it was back to the grind. I was looking forward to level 16. As mentioned before, that's when we would unlock Flame Strike. And with that, our first bit of real AoE potential. I got a few nice green drops that I was hoping to sell later, as I knew I would soon need better gear. Ideally greens of the eagle, since stamina and intellect are crucial for bigger pulls. Health and mana keep you alive. Eventually, with about 129 Murlocs slain, we hit level 16. I made my way back to Stormwind to put some of the loot on the auction house. With the money from earlier sales, I allowed myself a little shopping spree. Now, I know I said I would focus on intellect and stamina, those are the stats to get, but since they are also coveted by nearly every other caster, I had to compromise.
20 hours of Murloc slaying, I wanted eagle gear. I compromised. I got some gear of the owl. I wanted some int and stamina. I compromised. I got plus arcane spell power.
You see where I'm going?
Just before leaving the shop, I got a notification that my bracer sold for about 2 gold. Even if the big profits weren't rolling in yet, I reinvested immediately in some meds for engineering. And that was the current state of my equipment. Some good stuff, but also a lot of spell damage. Not ideal by any means, as I was just a bit too greedy and uninformed at this point, but for a few more levels of single target farming, it would do just fine. While leveling engineering, I received another rallying cry of the Dragon Slayer. I thought briefly about respeccing into Arcane for the next few levels, but decided against it. While it's cheap now, I'd have to switch to Frost not so long after, and respec costs add up very fast. The fire spec would do for now. It was still strong for single target kills and felt reliable. Also, Flame Strike. Speaking of which, I finally learned my new spells and headed back to the shores of Westfall. I didn't want to overextend myself and risk losing my buff. 3 Murlocs was the maximum for now. Their damage combined with the constant nets made large pulls dangerous. Still, the change in playstyle helped a lot with my morale. Many of the Murlocs were dying one spell earlier now, making farming more efficient. We kept grinding and got a lot more green drops. Since I didn't want to return to Stormwind before level 18, I would send them to my bank and keep going. I wanted to make the most out of the world buff. Also, please don't mind my new look. The Hallows End event was still active at this point. By now, I was getting spoiled by the number of green drops. Feeling confident, I tried a 4-stack pull, and it couldn't have been closer. Probably not worth the risk again for now, with the buff being active. Soon after that, we hit level 17, with about 152 Murlocs killed. A bit later, a wand dropped. I had been too stubborn to buy one before, thinking it wasn't really necessary, but it turned out to be a great backup when I was low on mana and enemies would run out of melee range, especially being netted. Looking back, I should have gotten one much earlier. I also tried venturing to new shores, but killing the oracles was far too dangerous and inefficient. With my bags full of loot, I sold off my junk one final time before returning to Stormwind. We got to level 18 with about 170 Murloc kills, made it to the capital and checked my mailbox. Thanks to the bracer selling, we looked pretty good gold-wise for now. With all the spoils collected and sorted, I listed a batch of valuable BOE greens on the auction house. Unfortunately, the clam meat market was oversaturated. Prices were down. I decided to put them in the bank for later. I invested some of my newly earned money into coarse stone which is honestly way too expensive on the server, but from my other series, Goldbound, I already know that. Those prices are not unusual. The stones were still great for pushing my engineering skill and mandatory for coarse dynamite, which turned out to be super useful. I crafted some right away. I also learned how to make a target dummy, which could be helpful for AoE farming later. After a quick visit to the mage trainer for Fireball rank 4, we went back to Westfall. I wanted to explore new shores, maybe even a different area like Redridge, but since many of you voted in favor of doing Captain Sander's Hidden Treasure quest, I didn't want to skip it. On my way there, I encountered Brack, a rare Murloc that roams around the coast. He dropped a nice cloak with a few silver. I cleared out the Murlocs around the footlocker, looted clue number 2, and followed the trail to the next. Thanks again for letting me do this. It helps me keep sane, I think, in a challenge like this. After collecting the remaining clues, we reached the island and finished the quest line. The 8-slot bag was a solid reward, and the silver would come in handy for engineering, for example. Before leaving Westfall, I remembered 2 more Murloc quests just around the corner. The Coast Isn't Clear and the Coastal Menace, which would even reward me with a new wand. Normally, I don't like to do The Coast Isn't Clear. It sends you all across the map to kill a handful of low-level Murlocs. But for this challenge, well, to be honest, it still kind of sucks. But I'm more than happy to do it. So it looked like we were staying here for a while. Unfortunately, I overextended on a group of Tidehunters and lost my precious Dragonslayer buff. 3 of them at once were just a bit too strong for my level, and it didn't help that one resisted my Frost Nova. After auto-walking back to the captain for about 8 minutes, I finally handed in the quest. Then it was time for a change of scenery. I made my way to Redridge, collecting a few ore nodes along the road. There should be 1 or 2 quests in Lakeshire that fit the challenge rules, but before going there, I decided to farm for a while. I was torn a bit on this new spot. On one hand, there was an unlimited supply of Murlocs at a great level range with fast respawns. The minor Tidecrawlers died quickly if I timed it right. On the other hand, the mix of ranged and melee made AoE farming difficult. Still, I decided to stay until level 19. Then I traveled to Lakeshire and picked up the Spotted Sunfish quest. Fittingly, the fish dropped from Murlocs, so this quest was good to go. After a quick mailbox check, we continued the grind. Halfway to level 20, I went back to Westfall. The mixed stacks in Redridge just weren't consistent enough for AoE farming. The Murlocs in Westfall were melee, lower level, and easy to group up. They gave less experience per kill, but the quantity made up for it. Probably not much more efficient overall XP wise, but definitely more fun. And in a grind like this, that also counts for a lot. I also wanted to check off another rare from the list, Slark, who still roams the shores of Westfall. Finally, level 20. Our real AoE potential was close to being unlocked. As promised, it was time for another shopping spree. We'd gathered plenty of gear over the past few levels, and after selling most of it, I reinvested in proper upgrades. We got some good deals overall. I also crafted a pair of goggles with engineering for nice boost in stamina. Not every piece was ideal, but I just didn't want to spend 1 or 2 gold per slot at this level. Weapons were especially expensive. All things considered, it was a big improvement. About 250 more health and 300 more mana. I went to the mage trainer, and level 20 is really huge for mages. Blink, Conjure Water rank 3, Evocation, Mana Shield, new Frost Armor, new Frost Bolt, all at once. It's a massive upgrade. And of course, the spell that would soon define this challenge, Blizzard. It would take a few more levels to really shine once we invested in improved Blizzard, but we were getting there. I bought some more heavy stones from the auction house and a wool cloth to craft heavy dynamite. A solid tool for AoE grinding, and as it would turn out, our best friend for the upcoming levels. After being a bit disappointed with the Redridge spots, one being fine but overcrowded a lot of the time, I moved on to the Wetlands, hoping for better luck. And I think we found our spot. The Murlocs here are all melee and don't have any dangerous abilities. The only real problem, some are higher level and therefore resist my spells more often. Also, I'm not too good at this yet. It's my first mage in Classic WoW, and with a suboptimal spec, pulling more than 3 mobs was a bit risky. The puddle jumpers as well were just a bit too fast, especially without a slow from the frost talents. Still, pull by pull, I improved. The heavy dynamite was a real MVP. It even helped me clear some 5 stacks. Something felt a bit off, but I would soon discover what would be the real problem with the Murlocs in Wetlands. More on that later. During a short break, I checked my auctions. Sales were going really well. I'd already made back the gold I spent on the gear and materials. I picked up a local quest to hunt more Murlocs in the area, and from level 20 to 21 I had slain around 140 more Murlocs. Since those Murlocs were higher level, the amount was a bit less than the levels before. I finished the quest, and since most of you voted in favor of doing Murloc related stuff, as long as it didn't involve killing any other enemies, I also accepted the Reclaiming Goods quest. That one was super convenient, and the quest XP and more efficient pulls pushed me to level 22 after about only 125 more kills. Despite everything I just said about spell damage being bad for AoE farming, I was very happy about the reward, Icicle Rod. Plus 4 points on intellect and style were reason enough to pick this one up. It was time to stock up on resources and sell some loot. I headed to Ironforge. I had used up all of my heavy dynamite, so I crafted more. Then I visited the trainer for Arcane Explosion Rank 2, a very important upgrade. And with that, and the 3 points in Improved Blizzard, we were finally cooking. In the next farming session we got our second blue drop, which I was hoping to sell for a good amount of gold. Other than that, not much noteworthy happened. So, it's time for your favorite part of the video. Fun facts about Murlocs. Did you know Murlocs were inspired by Creature from the Black Lagoon, a horror movie from the 1950s. Early concept art shows a clear homage to the amphibian monster and swamp creature. After another short break, restocking and relisting auctions, I went back to farming. Heavy dynamite continued to be my best friend. I could handle 5 stacks constantly now, though competition in the area made it rare to pull that many Murlocs at once. I still couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, especially with improved Blizzard being a bit underwhelming. Sure, puddle jumpers moved faster than the other enemies, and I guess that was part of the problem. But too many Murlocs resisted Frost Nova and took reduced damage from Blizzard. And checking Wowhead confirmed my fears. Bluegill Murlocs have unusually high frost resistance. That explained why we had such a hard time to keep them stacked up and why they survived so much longer after being hit by blizzards. But even with that setback, I still think this is the best spot for my current level. Unfortunately, the Murlocs I will face next in this area are also resistant, even more considering the higher level. Other areas either have ranged enemies mixed in or are way too high for now. We'll have to push through it, even if it means not being able to handle the big pulls just yet. After about 157 Murlocs slain, we hit level 23. The next level was uneventful. Knowing about the frost resistance, I adapted, relying more on Arcane Explosion, Flame Strike, and of course, Dynamite. I also got another blue drop during that time. With nothing else happening, here's another small fun fact while the footage plays. Murlocs were never meant to be cute. Early drafts described them as feral coastal scavengers. Their animations were created in under a week, and the flailing arms and head-bobbing run were originally just temporary tests. Players loved it so much that the team decided to keep it. I paid another visit to Ironforge, sold off some loot and upgraded my skills. Then, once again, back to farming. Not too much worth mentioning here, except an absolutely insane chest with 2 very strong blue drops. And with about 170 Murlocs killed, we finally reached level 25. Kill track showed a Murloc count of 1340 Murlocs at this point. Since we used that add-on only after level 18, we should add the 466 Murlocs from level 15 to 18 and of course 850 Murlocs from episode 1, which means our current kill record sits at 2658 dead Murlocs. Looking at this number, the amount of blue BOE drops made a bit more sense. Still, I guess I got lucky, especially with that last chest. And since we sold our last items for good prices, we were sitting at a comfortable 52 gold already. With even more valuables in our bags, I was looking forward to our next shopping spree. But for now, this is where episode 2 of Murlocked will end. The grind continues in the next one. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and take care. Bye.